we got DeQuell waiting in the wings.
Pull that one,
All right,
bro.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, Tyvus has the first headline.
Tyvus, give us your headline. Your pre-written headline for the Brown Steelers.
Yeah, the Browns make history, and I ain't gonna say Nick Chubb gonna break the record. It's gonna be because they marked the first losing season in Tomlin era.
Oh, okay.
Just think that ground game, that ground game gonna come. Obviously, they're gonna feed Nick Chubb, and they're going to try to get him to break the record and get him as close as he can, at least. But I think that ultimately it's about physicality, and I think that obviously they got T.J. Watt and they got Cam Hayward, go Bucks. But for some odd reason, I think it's the last game. Let's go ahead and ride this thing out. Deshaun Watson is starting to look better, but I think Nick Chubb has been and will always be the key piece to getting Deshaun to become better. And I think in his little 20 carries that he get, he'll break a couple of them. Just my thought.
Very good. I like it. I hope you're right.
Have a good weekend.
Have a great
Tyvus,
weekend.
thank you, brother.
We'll see you next week.
All right, Slim.
Work on those arms. Work on jacking up there a little bit.
Don't do that. What you mean? I just protein shake. Look at that. Look at that.
There you go.
We go from one skinny former NFL player to a jacked NFL player. What up, DeQuell?
Yeah. Those are arms right there. That's a man's arms right there.
I think we have audio problems with DeQuell, too.
Can't hear him.
DeQuell, log off, log back on. We're getting audio levels. We can't hear you. We'll come back to you in 1 sec.
Well,
this Viva system's weird. It shows us levels in here, but then we can't hear him. So
Let's
he
go.
logs
Pull
off,
it
he logs
together
back
behind
on.
there, will you?
Jay, while we're
Gremlin's
waiting for DeQuell to get back,
All right.
it's your headline.
Yeah, I'm not as optimistic as Tyvus. I just believe that the Steelers have a reason to play this game, and the Browns bring more dysfunction into this game. I think everybody's looking to cleaning out their locker and getting this season to hell behind them. It's been a season from hell if you really go back and think about it. So I think the Steelers win this one at the end, but the bigger headline is a very bizarre, unconventional, drama-filled season is finally, thankfully, over. That's my headline.
G. Bush, you're up next.
Let's get to these headlines.
He forgot.
I don't memorize these.
I don't either.
I'm like, y'all memorize these? I'm like, dang, I'm behind. Going out of style.
Look at the jacket. LL.
Browns win 31-12. Watson serves up a tailor-made loss for the Steelers.
You should put GNN up there.
We made these early.
Yeah, okay.
Before the GNN nickname
The
came
one
up.
thing on the 2 L's on the jacket, if I'm not mistaken, you better check this because this is off the top of my head. I think if the Browns win, it'll be the first time since '88 that they've swept the Steelers in the regular season.
Yeah, it's been a while. I know that.
I think that's the case.
And technically, the Browns will finish in third, even though they're tied for the same.
If they win. If they lose, obviously, they bring up the rear.
Right.
So.
Yeah, man.
And by the way, we all at the beginning of this season, when we were saying where are they going to be, most of our predictions were 8-9 or 9-8.
Yeah, I had them 8-9 and the Steelers 7-10.
No, I drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I know.
I said 8 something. I think I said 9 wins.
We'll
go back and look, but I'm pretty sure everyone said 8, 9, 9, and 8.
Yeah.
And
once we knew the suspension was 11 games.
DeQuell is back. DeQuell, what's that headline?
What's your headline, brother?
We can't hear him.
Oh, no.
It still shows
Going
audio.
on.
It shows we're getting
We don't want
audio levels
excuses,
in here.
Mikey. We want problems fixed. Let's go.
We want results.
DeQuell, I'm going to send you a brand new link. Hold on.
Yeah, get DeQuell
New
together.
link for DeQuell. Let's put up Brad's headline then.
I got to ask DeQuell.
DeQuell, I'm going to send you the line for line 1. Hold on.
DeQuell on line 1.
Here we go. Look, the Browns are making progress in the win, right? I'm looking for just a better performance offensively. Watson's trending.
Okay.
I like that Watson is like coming out of
He's in his head. He's in Stefanski's head.
He like Cardi B. He keep condoms in his head.
He's and
with the Kool-Aid, you said, bring that back up. I want you to get the last bit of Kool-Aid here. Bring that back up, Mikey.
By the way, I think Brad has picked the Browns to win every week.
Yeah.
17-0.
I'm a homer. Look, Stefanski saves his job because people around here won't call a spade a spade. He would be getting his coat the same day, too, out the locker room. Let me holler at you an hour later, bruh.
All right.
We moving on.
Saved you. Hey, come on, let me come over here, man. It's me and you.
I don't think Doug Collins even got back home that day. They were like, you come over here and see me,
Hey,
son.
that's the saving grace. That's the saving grace for that man, bro.
You come
that
over here, son.
These keep something that 230 people is mad about. but listen, Stefanski's like, thank God for that 230. That's the only thing keeping me around here. Listen, they better revamp his stuff, man. I can't believe it. He's gonna be the last man standing.
All right, last headline.
Bull's the last headline, and Bull, we had to edit a little bit just for.
I didn't say F, by the way.
Yeah,
I did say F, but not EFF.
A little editorial discretion.
F those
But Bull,
Yinzers.
you did have me and Anthony in tears when you sent us that.
Browns spoil Steelers season. Pittsburgh finishes under 500. There you go. Listen.
Anthony didn't know what a Yinzer was, by the way. He's like, how can I find a picture of a Yinzer? And I'm like,
it's because I'm a better Clevelander than Anthony is.
Yeah.
You know?
He's from Parma. Is that even
Actually,
count?
I've spent more years as an adult in Cleveland than Anthony has.
That's crazy.
That's true.
Because he just recently became one.
That's borderline. It's borderline.
The verdict's still out, Anthony.
Yeah, exactly.
We love you, but we're not sure yet if you're still a child or you have,
Yes.
have made the transition into adulthood.
That's true. But, hey, listen, I thought I had it in the bag.
Yeah.
The victory lap was
Well, hell,
already
at
being
2-6,
done.
it looked like it was
2-6, I thought
a
in the
done
bag.
deal.
Dunsky.
And I gave Aditi a chance to kill me yesterday, but that's not her style. I'm going to be so angry if the Browns lose this game. I know it doesn't mean anything, but I think the Browns want to spoil the Steelers season.
I think there's something
I don't think
to
there's
that.
any doubt about it.
But here's the question.
Yeah.
Is the Steelers' desire to make the playoffs stronger than the Browns' desire to spoil the Steelers' season?
Probably, but the teams in that scenario don't always win, right? We see it
No.
all the time.
No.
Remember the Colts last year? All they had to do was beat a bad Jacksonville team, and they couldn't do it.
Yep.
Speaking of which, it's been so bizarre. Think about this. The Dolphins have lost
5 in a row.
5 in a row.
Yeah.
The Jets have lost 5 in a row. The Titans have lost 6 in a row. Meanwhile,
And the Lions and Jacksonville are going the other way.
Jacksonville and Pittsburgh were both 2-6, and now Jacksonville win and they're in.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh win and they have a chance. By the way, there is if Jacksonville, even if they lose to Tennessee, which I doubt they will, but if they lose, they still could get in. If the Patriots, Dolphins, and Steelers all lose, then Jacksonville would get in as a wild card even if they lose.
That's
wild.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I wonder what Urban says.
You know, I think Doug Peterson's genius credentials have been renewed. I really do.
I mean, and Urban looks really bad.
Because, by the way, when you look at
yeah.
what Doug Peterson did with Nick Foles and winning that Super Bowl,
And with Carson Wentz.
that might go with, well,
Carson
but-
Wentz was only good with him.
right. It's easy to look at this guy now and say, wait a minute, maybe he's the new John Gruden.
Yeah.
Maybe he's the guy that can get things out of players at quarterback because, oh, by the way, what's happened to Carr since Gruden's been out of town in Vegas?
Yeah, he has
Like
a bad year.
His star has
Yeah.
fallen dramatically.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and maybe Stefanski is that guy, because Stefanski's success with Jacoby Brissett, when Brissett left after Week 11, I think his QBR was top 10.
Yeah,
No one saw that coming.
His
It was
PFF
like 8,
grade
I
was
think it was
good.
8, like almost 8.
Yeah, I mean, no
It was
one
the
saw
best
that
Brissett's
coming.
ever played in his career.
Baker
Yeah,
probably played his best football
no doubt.
in his first year with Stefanski.
Yeah.
So that's why the patience on Stefanski, I'm just so tempted by what could become of the offense with Stefanski and a full Deshaun Watson for a season.
You just make my point for me.
I wanna see
it's
that.
always with lesser talent. He's winning.
Well, let's see what he can
But
do with
he
a
hasn't
superstar
had
quarterback for a year.
Right.
I just think if you fire him before this year, you're acting too soon.
Too soon.
I do. I do.
I agree.
We've talked. Hold on. We talked about all this kind of off the beat trail. We talked about all these coaches. The guy we haven't talked about is Van Pelt.
Well, because what does he do?
Well, I mean, he is a big part of the game plan, right?
Is he?
Is he?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I assume so. I don't think he's just there as a figurehead. I don't.
He's Scott Pioli.
No, I think,
Might be.
say what you want.
A lot of younger kids, the younger guys are, who is Scott?
Whatever
Yeah,
you think about
Google it.
Stefanski, good or
Patriots.
bad, I think he's a collaborative guy. I think he and Van Pelt work on the. Again, I don't
Jason
know for sure.
insisted he is.
I think they
Do
work
you-
on the game plan
do you
together.
Think, do you think Van Pelt at some point says, "Hey, dude, I want to"?
I want to be an OC
wanna-
somewhere.
Of course. Well, he is an OC, but you want to be a play caller. Every guy wants to be a play caller. Yeah, certainly.
I would like them to. I would like them to find an outside passing consultant or passing coordinator
This is a passing game coordinator.
Yes.
Other teams have them.
I would like, because I'm confident in their run concepts.
Do they not have one? I don't know.
I don't think they got one.
No,
I'm confident in
I
their
don't
run
think so.
concepts. I don't know how I feel about their pass concepts.
What I will say this, and I agree with you.
Because you said something earlier about changing the way they play.
They got to
offense.
play. Stefanski's never had a quarterback with this kind of skill set, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, part of me says, well, yeah, like you say, they're passing concepts. There's issues, but the other part is well, maybe he has better concepts, but he didn't have the talent, especially at quarterback,
Maybe we'll
to
see
pull
them
it
next
off.
year.
So, but one way or the other, he better have it fixed, because there's no reason why this team shouldn't, like Deshaun Watson should throw for a minimum of 4,000 yards. I think it should be 4,500 plus. And Nick Chubb should still be able to get 1,200 yards.
Hell, I'd
rushing.
do backflips for 4,000. I really would. I'd be thrilled with
We got
4,000.
DeQuell?
DeQuell, welcome back. Can
This
we
is
hear
line
you?
3. Microphone.
Can you guys hear me? Finally.
Line 3 is
There we
the
go.
winner.
I deserve a Nobel Peace Prize and an IT of
Let's
the Year
not
award
Man,
prize
hey,
here.
Mikey,
Let's not
you
get
deserve all the flowers, buddy. You made that work. Oh, my
DeQuell,
goodness.
first of all, how's the Achilles coming along? You feeling okay?
Yeah, it's feeling pretty good, fellas. I'm actually out of the boot. I'm walking
Good.
in my shoe. I still have some heel lifts, but it's progress. Every week is progress. So I'm
Very
feeling
good.
Thanks.
DeQuell, let's talk about Tyvus's arms for a minute. Did you get to see his arms, and how unimpressive are they for a former NFL player?
You know what? Because I'm a guy that's got to lose a little bit of weight, I actually envy Tyvus right now. But the arms were slacking a little bit. But he can do a lot better than that. He can do a lot better. And wait a minute, I had a question for Tyvus. Like, when did he become a Milwaukee's fan? Like, who's Milwaukee?
Jay say you're a front runner. Jay say you're a front
Front
runner.
runner. He saw Giannis was going to be great for 10 years, and once he decided that he wasn't going to leave Milwaukee and go to Golden State, he was like, oh, so I could be a Bucks fan because they're going to be good for the next decade.
Right.
He was the kid that in our era came to school with the Cowboys lunchbox.
Right.
Remember them?
And the Yankees.
And the Yankees.
Yes.
And the Celtics.
Were you-
or Lakers.
Were you a
He's going to get a
Wizards?
text from me for sure.
DeQuell, were you a Wizards?
Bullets.
Bullets, I guess. Redskins fan as a kid?
Absolutely not. No, I grew up in Florida, so I
Oh,
was
wow.
a
That's right.
diehard,
Hey, a
I'm
Florida
an
guy.
idiot. I'm an idiot.
diehard Bucks fan, and I've learned living in this area, and all my families, all my wife's family, they are diehard Commanders fan, and you know, you watch them, but I don't root for them. I root for the guys that I played with, or either coach with, or something like that. But you know, you learn to love them, but you follow them. I'm actually so I've been to a few Wizards game, and it's not all that interesting, to be honest with you.
Ooh, they suck.
I mean,
It is not interesting.
So let me dig down on that. So you, as a professional athlete, there's a couple of things pledging allegiance. Like when you watching games, obviously you drafted by the Browns, but you grew up rooting for Tampa Bay because that's your hometown. You currently live in the DC DMV, so obviously that's the team that's on TV locally. But you play for the Colts. How do you view watching football games? And is it just you watch them, or which team has like your heart? Like if I gotta,
Plus, you didn't even mention his buddies that are on different teams.
yeah, friends on other teams. Who
But your question is, at the beginning of the season, if you had to pick who you wanted to win the Super Bowl, who would that be? Browns.
Oh, that you guys. Well, I mean, it's the Browns, obviously.
Good.
I mean, that's the easiest answer. I mean, listen, I have connections everywhere, and so like in Indy, for instance, I had a chance to play with, arguably will be in the Hall of Fame, two guys this year, Joe Thomas and Reggie Wayne. So, and I'm still in all that. Reggie Wayne even knows my name, you know, and some other guys
That's
I had
crazy.
a chance to. Yeah, Edrin James, we've developed a friendship, and just all the different, guys I've come in contact with that playing in Indy. I mean, they showed me love because I played for them, and you just value the relationships, the friendships, and it's like a big fraternity. No matter what jersey you're wearing, you want to root for the guys that you either played with or the kids are playing now. I'm getting up in that age now, but it's a beautiful thing.
DeQuell, speaking of Joe, I heard Joe actually getting interviewed yesterday on NFL radio, and they actually asked him a really fascinating question about like preparing for games, and you've talked a lot about this, and he talked about how as an offensive lineman, almost all the time, the guy he's going up against is a better athlete. And so he had to be overly prepared. He talked about especially going against Dwight Freeney. Like he was like, I had to gain that split second of edge by studying him so carefully to know what he was going to do, because otherwise he was going to out-athlete me to the ball. I thought it was really fascinating. He is such a student of the game.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You can put me in that boat as well because I was never the tallest, strongest, or fastest guy. So I knew at an early age when I entered the league, every running back, I'm going to have to guard one-on-one. Every tight end, every slot receiver, everyone is a better athlete than I am. So how do you still approach and be confident that you can get your job done and play at a high level? You had to play the game above the shoulders. And that's where I excelled. And, some other intangible things. I had the IQ level, and I had just the self-awareness to understand that, which is easier said than done. Most guys can identify with that. And, let's say if you when you start to combine that type of mentality with the skill set like a Joe Thomas, you ended up equating it to a Hall of Fame. And it's a very small margin between the really great players and the Hall of Fame guys. The Hall of Fame guys put in that extra work that have that God-given ability.
Hey, DQ, question for you. You catch this Clowney comment from yesterday?
I did. I read the story this morning.
Tell me what you think that symbolizes from Clowney and out that locker room. Tell me what you think.
You know what? If you would have asked me about his play last week or the week before that or the week prior to that, I would have told you he was playing uninspired football. And reading the comments and understanding what he was talking about, clearly he's upset. He's upset that he hasn't been put in a position to actually move around and make plays. The scheme it was all for Garrett, and rightfully so, because he has 15 sacks right now. He is the the first round draft pick. He is the face of the franchise. But what it tells me about Clowney is, he doesn't like the situation he's in, clearly. Joe Woods, we've talked, we've talked enough about his inability to run this defense. And Clowney's frustration right now is clear that he's not happy there. There's something going on that he's unhappy with, and he hasn't been put in a position to exceed. And let's face it, Clowney's never had a double-digit sack season. The most he's had is 9.5. So, again, he's a veteran. He's made his money, as he said. He just wants to be in a position and have people believe in his ability. But quite frankly, he knows where he is in his career. He's not a guy that's going to get you 10+ sacks a game. Right. He's a run stopper. He's a big body. He's hard to move around, and he's trying to collect a check. So, listen, would I have gone out and said all those things to the media? What I would have done, not to say that it's wrong, but I would have had a conversation with the right people, and to let them know my frustration. But it wouldn't have
got to the paper.
Shown up on the field.
DeQuell, the bigger issue here, I think that Brad's leading to, and G. Bush laid out a number of instances where there have been problems between management, coaching staff, and star players in particular. He talked about Njoku, and his was contract related, which Bull points out, and also Hunt, his was contract related. This appears to be contract related. Jarvis Landry's time didn't end well. OBJ's time was a disaster. Baker Mayfield. Do you see that there's a bigger global issue here between coaching staff and these star players that for various reasons have been disgruntled?
Yeah, I know what Brad's getting at. He wants Caskey up out of here.
That's
and
right.
I'm trying to stop him. I can read between the lines.
And I said,
you know what I'm talking about, DQ. You up out of here.
Listen, I think there's a clearly there is. I mean, I can't argue. I can't disagree. I think he can do a much better job of dealing with the big personality players on the team. I agree with you on that. However, it's a tricky situation, right? Because every guy, we don't know whether or not he had some contractual escalators in his contract to say, hey, if I get a certain amount of sacks, I get X amount of dollars. We don't know, because we know teams, with my experience, actually play those games with you.
Yeah, they do.
We don't see you coming back. We're not going to let you hit your incentives and pay you all this money. So there's a lot of different things that's part of this situation here. But listen, at the end of the day, my honest opinion about Joe Woods and this defense, I don't think he should be back. I think they have to cut bait with him because clearly he's not been able to identify an asset or a guy like Jadeveon. You can use him in certain situations. You can get the best out of him, and he seems just to be a guy this year. And unfortunately, it spilled over to the rest of this defense when they've underachieved dramatically this season. But I don't think Kevin Stefanski, not yet. I give him one more year. I give him a mulligan this year. Because of,
soft on crime, bro.
Soft on crime.
Hey, but that's a campaign. He went the campaign slogan. DeQuell Jackson.
Soft
He was with the Browns. His defense was soft then. Now he's soft on crime.
Well, let me ask you this, because I posed this to the panel earlier, and I'm really curious to get your take and what you think the proper power structure should be.
Real quick, Jay.
Yeah.
Stefanski speaking to the media, he would not say whether or not Clowney will play on Sunday.
That's what I'm talking about.
Would not
I can't.
I mean,
I cannot.
I can't imagine. They sent him home. He's not playing.
I mean, it's clear dysfunction. He's mad at everybody. He's mad at Kevin Stefanski. He's mad at the whole operations of how everything has transpired this season. That's obvious. And I'm sure other guys feel that way, but I never forget, there was a coach that he had the best line ever when talking to an undrafted guy. He was like, afford to be who you can afford to be.
Yeah.
And right now, Jadeveon Clowney has made his money. He can go out and say these things at the end of the season. It won't affect him. If he signed a one-year deal, and he'll probably be someplace else.
I think that this is nothing more than a strategic, trying to hold some sort of strategic edge. You don't want to telegraph to the Steelers that he's definitively not playing. But when you send a player home on Friday, I can't remember any instances where you send him home on Friday and then you lace him up and put him out there on Sunday. But back to the point.
By the way, guys, on his contract, real quick, Clowney has a per-game roster bonus that totals $1 million.
All right, so
if he doesn't play, he's going to lose
117.
117 for that.
Yeah.
So that
ain't no money.
He's going to lose.
And he does have $1 million total worth of incentives. I haven't been able to figure out what they're for specifically.
I'm sure he ain't hit none of them.
Anyway,
that's Costco's money.
Yeah.
DeQuell, so I asked the guys about, for them to rank who they believe has the most power in the Browns organization. And I'm curious to see what you say about that. And everybody in the organization, obviously the coaching staff, GM, owner, everything, analytics guru.
Yeah.
Give me your take on what you think that hierarchy is, 1 to 3, and then maybe tell us what you think it should be or what you've seen successful organizations sort of have that power structure be and make it work best.
Yeah, I mean, it has to start with Haslam, right? Haslam, and then I have to put, even though I don't hear much about him, but how do you say his name?
DePodesta.
DePodesta. And then I feel like between Barry and Stefanski, they're like a package deal, right? And I think, and that's what I get. I haven't talked to anyone about it, but I just get that feeling that's the way it goes. But I think the way a successful organization needs to run is obviously it starts with the owner. And then you hire someone, my honest opinion, you've hired a GM who's the pulse of this football team. The GM and the head coach have to work in tandem, have to understand what type of players they need, what type of attitude we need to coach a football team, and not just a mediocre team, but a championship level team. And it's going to take someone at the helm, and Brad's going to like this, that can deal with the big personality guys and coach them.
Look at my man. Look at my man behind you.
That's okay.
we got a co-star. So I think
that's right.
He got a mind of his own. I just think, in this case with the Browns, man, they really have underachieved, and I think everybody on this coaching staff, everyone on this team has to have a hard look and self-evaluate who's the guys I can win a championship with. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think my biggest question here is when you look at the organizations that are successful, always successful, I don't see their owners grabbing the rope and pulling in that power struggle. Like, when you think of the Krafts and the Rooneys, but then I think of Jerry Jones, who really has had no postseason success
since firing Jimmy Johnson.
So the only success that they had under him, he screwed up and got rid of the coaches.
And
they've had no success. And Washington with Snyder. It seems to me that when the owner is in the top 3, it feels like that could be a big problem. They're business people. They're not football people. They write checks. They shouldn't have power and say on all these things. Hire the right people and let them lead.
Well, that's it. I don't think because he's so involved, there's something there. There's something to read into it in terms of how confident they feel in Kevin Stefanski. Yeah, he's good.
He's good, man. He's great.
I think that's indicative. I think until you find a guy like a Tomlin, you find a guy that's a 15-year fixture, you take a back seat. But until that happens, I think you have to be involved. And I think Kevin Stefanski on a 1-year deal to get this to right this ship, because if not, then there is no more defending him.
I like DeQuell. He's such a nice guy.
Hey, DeQuell.
I give him 1 year. I give him one more year after this. But defensive coordinator, you got to go.
Unfortunately, you played in a lot of games against the Steelers late in the year where the Browns were not going to the playoffs. So what's the mindset of the Browns players? They've been eliminated, but they know that they control the Steelers' destiny. If they win that game, they knock the Steelers out. Does it mean more to knock the Steelers out if you're a Browns player than knocking Washington out? I assume yes, but I don't know. You would know better than me.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Some guys are going to have that, going to think about that. Let's knock the, let's beat the Pittsburgh Steelers because they're Pittsburgh Steelers. But half the locker room, they're thinking about where they're going to be next week. Mm-hmm. Especially when you're not playing for anything right now. And that's just the honest truth. Half of the locker is going to be divided. Half the locker room understands what's at stake. They want to win an extra game. They want to put out, good film. For the last game of the season, you want to beat a rival down the road. But half the locker room, hell, I don't know what type of game you're going to get.
Hey, you forgot that small percentage, bro. The ones that got vacation plans already.
Oh, yeah, that was me. That was me.
Trying to figure out where I'm going. Am I going to Bahamas? Where am I? Aruba? Where am I going here?
Talk about, babe, how's that all-inclusive?
They already bought the tickets. The tickets are already purchased.
That little bed and breakfast.
All-inclusive.
Listen, I was one of those guys, but I was still, I can handle both. But a lot of guys, they set up vacations. Yeah. And they're thinking about not getting hurt. That's what they're thinking about.
Looking at the
look,
surviving.
First quarter, they want to survive it. Because here's the thing: if you get hurt, whatever travel plans you have, you got to stay at least a week at that facility.
Like, I got 2 more hours to make it.
And DeQuell, when he packed, he ain't got no socks in that plane. He got all.
They're all sandals.
No flip-flops. Sports, all linen.
Hey, well,
all linen, baby.
A former Steeler, Ben Roethlisberger, made news this week when he was asked whether or not the Steelers will win and make the playoffs. And by the way, little man back there with the helmet on is priceless. It's priceless. So Roethlisberger was asked. There you go. Roethlisberger was asked. Will the Browns win? And Ben said, "Well, yeah, I think they're going to win. I mean." Basically, I'm paraphrasing. After all, they are playing the Cleveland Browns. Okay, shots fired from his sofa.
Yeah.
I'll give you an opportunity to respond to that. I mean, sometimes the truth hurts like hell, but
and that's precisely why I do not like the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
You know what? The fact that you want to hang your hat on. Listen, you kick us when we're down. I get it. Like that. Come on, man. Come on, let's suit back up, and let's see what you can do on that field. Let's have a alumni game where we get all our best alumni from each team. Let's go at it.
By the way, have you guys, DeQuell included, have you guys seen the movie Dodgeball? Remember the movie Dodgeball?
Oh, it's my favorite.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You can dodge a wrench. But if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Remember at the end of the movie, during the credits, Ben Stiller is sitting on his couch and he's gained like hundreds of pounds.
Yes.
That's what I picture Ben Roethlisberger looking like right now. Like eating a chicken, like a turkey
like Fat
drumstick.
Bastard from Austin Powers.
Like 400 pounds. Basically a taller version of me, if I'm honest. That's
Can we get a picture of Fat Bastard from Austin Powers for those that are too young to remember that?
He put the stuff
Yo.
back nice. He put the stuff back right. He put look
Hi,
at
buddy.
Look at your helmet. He put it back right. He put it back right.
He still hadn't figured out who I'm talking to right now.
Yeah.
No.
Hey,
But
DeQuell,
at
he
least he
stole
put
your
the
hair.
memorabilia back.
Stole your
He
hair.
stole your hair.
I know. I say that all the time. That's
Yeah.
that's my go-to line. I say it all the time. And he looks at me
You
crazy.
dirty.
Daddy, you have no hair.
Hey, before
Get your hair from.
Bring him up there.
Join
Bring
the
him up
party.
there. Wow,
There
look
you
at
go.
those
Big man.
Look at those dimples. Holy cow.
That
What
is
a
cute
what
kid.
a cute
Look at him,
kid.
he's waving. That's awesome.
Looking like his daddy.
That's awesome.
We're gonna have a Tyvis with his daughter, DeQuell with his son crossover at some point.
Oh
man.
my God,
Hey, man.
that would be outstanding.
Yeah, but the only
UCSS
difference
and
is-
Bull. You could bring Aaron in too.
Yeah,
and
but
we'll
DeQuell likes to show off his kids. Tyvis is trying to get him out of the camera.
Yeah, he is. Yelling for them to be quiet in the background.
Looking like he in a
Hey,
Sears
guys,
magazine.
can I say one thing before I forget?
Yeah.
Of course.
So G. Bush, I wanna commend you, brother, for how you spoke out passionately.
Yes.
With that energy that you had about DeMar Hamlin's situation and the reality of his situation. I got a lot of text messages, a lot of DMs. Who is this guy, man? Can I get in contact with him? So I think that was a beautiful thing with what you did, man. And if I could say this, just watching that play was oh man, it put a lot of things in perspective. Man. Really did. Just have him with me, just to be able to say I was fortunate enough to make it out as healthy as I could. But again, man, I give you all the respect for speaking with that language, and hopefully that energy continues.
Hey man, I appreciate it, man. Like I always said, man. I'm just grateful that we have a platform. And the show has got so much exposure over the last few weeks. And people have been coming up to me saying, man, I didn't even know you guys was there, man. You guys, I went back and watched some of your episodes, and you guys talk about some of the realest topics. So, for me, I was excited to have people to shine a light on the platform, and it's just a beautiful thing to see all those people and players
And
come out and say
DeQuell,
that.
let's open the platform to you.
Yeah.
You lived this life.
Yeah.
You're a former player. One of the things that Jason said was, hey, man, it sucks. This system sucks. There's no other way to say it. And the league is not treating its players fairly. But it ultimately comes down to the damn collective bargaining agreement. Like, this stuff was collectively bargained and signed off on by the players. We talked about yesterday, okay, we all agree change has to happen. How the hell do we get there?
Yeah, you know what the underlying, the crux of this issue is the fact that, when I played, I was always a union rep, and I was fortunate enough to be with a agent who wanted guys to be involved in the union to know what was going on. And so even as a union rep, you really don't fully comprehend what it means to be a former player and the benefits that won't be afforded to you, because in my opinion, there's two types of athletes in the National Football League. There's vested and non-vested.
Right.
And when you're vested, you're afforded a ton of the annuities, 401k plans, all the resources that the NFL can provide for you. But if you're not vested, things are very much so complicated. And for me,
how so? How so?
So, for instance, right now I played 11 seasons, right? And so every year I maxed out my 401k. And the NFL has the best 401k plan. They match you 2-to-1. If you're not vested, you can't participate.
God.
You can't participate in that program
until 3 years.
And in order 3 years and 3 games. And so when I was a union rep, I never saw the difference between the practice squad. The only difference between the practice squad guys and the guys who played on Sunday was just that. Guys played on Sunday, but they were there every day of the week. They went through the same grind you went through. So there was always a huge discrepancy. And I think the crux of it is you have a lot of young people that there isn't enough of integration between former and current players to hash out what exactly is important for what we need when we're done playing. Because out of the 2,000 players that are playing this game actively right now, there's going to be all of those guys are going to be former athletes, and then that's when you realize, some of the.
DQ, let me ask you a question.
That's a great point.
Ask from the NBA side, right? And I think it's always led by the players, right? When you're looking for change. Where we are on guaranteed money, right? I go down one day, I don't care. I got a 5-year deal. I'm still getting that money.
Right.
Don't work like that for you. You get your money up front on these signing bonuses. Why do you guys prefer the signing bonuses to the guaranteed money? What is the deal?
They don't prefer it. That's all.
No, because they could change the paradigm. If they jumped up and said they want guaranteed money, they could get it.
You know what it is, Brad? Listen, I wish I would have had a chance to talk to him before I say this, but there's a few guys in this league that can really cause a massive shift.
Yes, they can.
And guaranteed money and signing bonuses. And I'll go back to a guy that I played with, Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck at the time when he was the next touted guy, right, going to sign a massive deal. We all thought collectively within the union, secretly talking about he's going to ask for the first fully guaranteed deal, and he didn't. It's going to take it's going to take a quarterback or someone at that level to ask for a guaranteed deal to start the conversation.
Well, Deshaun Watson has it.
Watson just got it.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson's deal is guaranteed.
Well,
is he going to be the Kurt Flood of the NFL?
And that's what's holding up the Lamar Jackson deal, I think.
I think so, too, because now everybody after him is going to want it.
That's not a thing. That's a fact.
Right.
That's the reason he's he wants a guaranteed contract.
So
it's going to take more guys that can generate that type of revenue to all band together and say, this is what we need. And quite frankly, this topic is, I could talk about it all day. And the crux of it is, if you have young men don't think, a 22-year-old is not going to think like a 32-year-old.
They're never going to be old.
They're never going to be old. Owners and billionaires.
The veteran stars got to take care of the young players, right, to make that happen.
So there's some things that I would even like clarity about. First question is, do only active players vote? And two, say for instance you came down with, I don't know, if you got, CTE, you had something happen where you were disabled or something happened because of football injuries that you find out as you get older, how difficult would it be for you to get
almost impossible
disability in the NFL?
So I'm glad you asked that. So with the new CBA was getting ready to be signed, there was a lot of my former teammates, wives and significant others reach out to me and a lot of my other friends because currently they were on TNP, total and permanent disability.
Right.
And in the previous CBA, it said that if a state granted you Social Security, that automatically said, you know what, you qualify for permanent and TNP, total and permanent disability program. So a lot of my former players who can't work, who've had issues, whether you don't know if it's CTE, but they've had a good amount of issues that where they actually qualify for this program. Now with the new CBA, they've worked their lifestyle around this money that comes in monthly because of their disability. They can never go out and work in the workforce. Right. So now the new CBA comes around, and it's extremely difficult. So the problem was now the NFL changed the rules, because if you qualify for Social Security, now you had to go through all these hoops and jump through all these different doctors, NFL doctors, to say, hey, you qualify for this disability.
Well, did they change the rules, though, without the union signing off on that?
The union signed off on it. Yeah. The union had to sign
and that's
off on
my rub.
Yeah.
Why the hell are they making all these concessions when Gene lays out the problems?
Right.
You literally look at this and say, damn the NFL.
They want to make that paperwork.
But what I really want to say is, damn the players for approving that.
They want to make these things so hard so people eventually go, why bother?
Well, that's what they do.
Right?
Bernie Kosar has told me stories off air about, man, eventually the hoops just get to be too many.
So, there's a point I want to make. So G made a great point early this week, and my buddy Dominique Foxworth, he's on Get Up and First Take in the morning, and he brought up the fact that a few months ago, so there was this huge tidal wave of emotion and empathy for Damar Hamlin, and rightfully so. And what he echoed was there needs to be that same energy for the former players, because guys like myself, guys like him, we dealt with a situation that was life-threatening about 3 months ago. He was a former teammate of mine. His significant other reached out to Dominique's wife. His wife reached out to me. In the proper channels, we got him help. So apparently what happened, he was having an episode of some degree. He had barricaded himself in a house with a loaded gun and making threats. And this is something that, hell, I've been out of the league almost 6 years now. This is a reoccurring thing.
Yeah, it's a reoccurring thing.
It happens too often. It happens too often, and the young players in the league, they're so caught up in what they're doing, and I get it. I was one of those people. There's enough conversation and energy behind that, saying that, you know what, I shouldn't have to deal with and all these guys aren't even 50 years old.
Right.
These guys are dealing with real issues that the NFL has done everything they could to just push it to the side. And that energy needs to be there because a lot of guys are hurting and a lot of guys don't understand it. It's like a vicious cycle of these young guys agreeing to rules that seems to be okay for them at the moment, but 10 years goes by. Let's say after 5 years, when you're no longer part of, when you no longer have insurance through the NFL, it complicates things. Listen, I played 11 seasons. I've saved a lot of the money I made. My wife works in corporate America. Even I don't pay for the NFL's insurance that I have to pay for. That's how expensive it is.
Yeah.
Right.
A guy that wasn't vested or played, half of the amount of time that I played, that's a big expense. And they make it so difficult for guys to just function, and it shouldn't be that. Listen, we're a long ways away from correcting that issue. And I just hope everyone keeps talking about it.
Sadly, DeQuell, we got to wrap up today's show, but I want to ask you this, and I'm sure the answer is going to be yes, but I think G. Bush has hit a real chord that everybody can relate to. Whether you're, pro management, pro player, it doesn't matter. What we've touched on here and what we've seen the response is that this system is broken. Okay, it's broken because the players signed off on it. I want to invite you. I want to invite Robert Smith, who was on the NFL board of disability and pension. Jay Feely has reached out to me as a longtime player rep who has strong feelings on this. When the football season is over, I want to dedicate a full 2 hours to talking about this issue, and that won't even cover it.
Love to.
But I think whenever there's a problem, then everybody agrees there's a problem. Don't talk about the problem, present solutions. And I want to get you three together and maybe some other voices and try to figure out how we fix this, because it has to be fixed.
And I know a lot has to do with the current players agreeing to this, but those guys don't have those guys don't have the time, because you're trying to figure out a CBA within the season, trying to educate guys that are playing throughout the season. You don't have time to really fully comprehend what's going on. You just, hey, if your union rep says this is something we should agree to, let's agree to it.
So shift the calendar, maybe.
Right. You got to shift the calendar. You have to involve more than just the players, outside counsel, former players. This has to be a collective group effort.
Yeah, I love that idea, because when Ryan Clark said something talking about the DeMar Hamlin coverage. When I was 24 years old, I didn't even know I could die. They need former players representing the issues, the problems, the situations that all of the guys that are casting votes today are going to one day be faced with. They've got to be educated on that.
Not the end of this conversation, but it is for today. Thanks, DeQuell.
DeQuell, we love you, man.
Thanks,
It's adorable. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
By the way, real quick,